All right, the one and only John Canzano has touched down in Las Vegas. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time to talk about the big game and the Pac-12 championship. John, I'm wondering how you see this game playing out, knowing that the Huskies got him once already.
Yeah, I mean, I think Washington goes into this game thinking, hey, you already beat them, you know how to win, and you look at the way that Washington's played all year with Michael Penix. They get into close games and they win those games. Nothing to scoff at, being undefeated in Pac-12 play. It's not been done in the Pac-12 era. That said, Washington kind of came out of that Week 7 win and looked like maybe Week 7 was the end of the season for them, and they were, a little bit flat afterwards, and Michael Penix hasn't been as good. And meanwhile, Oregon is walking around angry. They have played angry and with laser-like focus since that game. And so I really feel like Oregon is on a mission, and it culminates here at this stadium, with a big game and a big matchup with a playoff berth at stake and Heisman Trophy lingering in the background. But I really like Oregon in this game. I think the spread reflects that. I think the Ducks have just played angry. I said earlier that, they're like Charles Bronson and Death Wish. They came out of Week 7 and they are pissed. And so they are swinging around a sock filled with quarters and looking for like vigilante justice. And that's just how Dan Lanning's team has played. Now Washington will show up to play. What Oregon needs to avoid here is being in a close game late against Michael Penix. He's killed people in close games.
9.5-point favorites, as you mentioned, and you saying the word stakes. Pac-12 championship, that's a given. Maybe the Heisman Trophy on the line, but also the college football playoff is looming. I think if Washington wins this game, they're a lock to get in. But what about Oregon, John?
Yeah, that's not done, right? And this is a big advantage. You want to spin this positive if you're Dan Lanning. The big advantage is they play Friday. No one else is playing Friday. The whole country's going to be watching Oregon. You've got, a big crew, big audience, platform all to yourself. The other conference championship games will go on Saturday. So Oregon, I think, not only needs to win this game, I think they need to leave no doubt in the minds of the selection committee that they belong in the top 4. So that's why I think it is really important that there are some style points here, because you run the risk, if you're Oregon, if you win a close game, you're leaving it in the hands of the selection committee. They're going to say, hey, how many quality wins did Oregon have? Okay, you give them the conference championship game, you give them the Civil War win over Oregon State, and then you say, hey, there's not much else to Oregon's resume. You have to worry about Texas, you have to worry about Alabama. Now, if Texas wins the Big 12 championship game, their only loss would be to Alabama. And if Alabama upsets Georgia in the SEC title game, you have a mess. And part of the reason that, we're all talking about a 12-team playoff a year from now is this. It's messy, it's not right, someone's going to get left out. So if you're an Oregon fan, you want no doubt on Friday in the championship game. Then you want to see on Saturday, you want to see Georgia beat Alabama. That sort of puts it to rest. Oregon has a path to this game. I think it's a solid path, but a lot of this is in control of their own hands.
Not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee, but that's why the style points will matter. So, Oregon's up 2 scores in the 4th quarter. Don't turn this game off, because Oregon's going to need to make a statement, finish strong. And I've seen a couple times this season, you look at the USC game, look at the Washington State game, they allow a late touchdown. Impressive. The victory doesn't look as impressive, but this one's going to matter because it's against a quality opponent, a highly ranked team with everybody watching.
How much does style points play into the Heisman Trophy race, knowing that Bo Nix has become the favorite, but we're pinpointing stats from, Penix and LSU, and just how much does that play into what Bo Nix does to try and win the Heisman Trophy?
Yeah, you look at the formula to win a Heisman Trophy. You've got to be a high-profile player, playing for a team that's a contender, top 15 team. Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Jaden Daniels all check that box. So here, again, comes a wonderful opportunity. This is not a billboard in Manhattan. This is not a billboard in Dallas, Texas. This isn't a social media campaign. This is an actual football game on a big stage against a quality opponent. And so I have a Heisman ballot. They opened the voting on Monday. I said, I'm not voting until I see this championship game. I have to see them all. I want to see these guys play on a big stage with high stakes. And so here's the opportunity. It's a moment of truth, not just for Oregon, but for Bo Nix. And, I look at Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix. If they want to make a serious Heisman case, they're going to have to come out of this game with a victory, and they're going to have to be the reason why their team won. So pay attention to those things, because I think that will sway a lot of voters late. Jaden Daniels, LSU, does not have a conference championship game. His team had 3 losses. I look at Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and I go, okay, the stage is yours. America's watching. There will be no complaint about, you're in the Pac-12, the late kickoffs. No, everybody's watching this game. Let's see what you got.
All right, a lot of people locked into johncanzano.com as well. What'd you write about today?
Well, look, I had a story about a pastor in my church who is a diehard Washington fan. He's had a really tough go in the last 20 months. He was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. It's been a real battle. He will be inside the stadium for kickoff, and it's just a reminder, too, of the perspective. Like, we've all seen how sad it is that the Pac-12 conference is ending this last season, this last game. It never should have unfolded this way. But amid that, I'm looking down and I'm looking around the stadium, and I'm thinking there's going to be 54,000 fans in there who all have more important things, bigger things going on than some football game. I think it's an important reminder.
You've been covering the Pac-12 conference for a long time, John. Just knowing that this is basically it, at least in the Pac-12 as we know it, what are some things that you're taking away as you walk into the stadium that final time?
Well, it would be really interesting to see George Kliavkoff, the Pac-12 commissioner. He's supposed to hand the trophy to the winning team. What will be the reaction with the crowd? I don't think it will be pretty. It wasn't pretty for Larry Scott years ago. I don't think George Kliavkoff is going to be well received. I think there are a lot of fans, even fans who are going off to the Big 10 or the Big 12, who might be excited about what that holds. There are a lot of fans who I think are waxing nostalgic this week, last couple weeks, watching the end of the regular season, wondering what comes next. And then you're looking at, this conference championship game. Look, the Pac-12 is going to go on. Oregon State, Washington State are going to continue it. It'll be the brand of the Pac-12 will continue. But the Pac-12, as we know, it ends. It ends here. It ends on Friday. This is like Game of Thrones, final season, final episode. I want this to go slow. I want every second of this game to feel big and important. And this conference should be back someday. It's got 108 years of history. It should be put back together someday. So maybe this is just part of the story.
All right, John, let's hope that the season finale isn't anything like the Game of Thrones. But he is John Canzano. You can check out his work on johncanzano.com. We are in front of Allegiant Stadium here in Las Vegas, the site of the Pac-12 championship game on Friday. Appreciate you joining me, man.
Thank you.